My name is Carmel J. Johnson, and this is Elderly Health Tips, a place where we uncover the small but powerful habits that help us stay upright and resilient, even when the calendar insists we're supposed to be slowing down. I'll be honest, some mornings I creak more than the steps on my old porch, but that's a story for another day. Now, let me share something that may surprise you. In a quiet fishing village in Japan, I once watched an 88-year-old man crouch low to scrub the hull of his boat, then rise smoothly to his feet without the slightest wobble. No gym membership, no protein shakes, not even a pair of sneakers. Just a lifetime of natural movement most of us have forgotten. The secret wasn't a miracle pill or the latest viral workout. It was woven seamlessly into everyday living. How they sit, how they stand, how they rest. So ordinary, so invisible, until you notice it's the very reason they can still move with ease well into their 80s and 90s. Stay with me, because by the end of today's story, I'll share the most unexpected gift this habit offers, and it has nothing to do with muscles. And if you find value in what you hear, a gentle tap on the like or subscribe button keeps this small corner alive. If you feel moved to go further, pressing the thanks button does more than support this channel. Every bit helps provide warm meals and blankets for those sleeping under cold skies tonight. 1. The morning that begins on the floor. Before the kettle even whistles, the day has already started. Outside, a soft mist clings to the garden, carrying with the earthy scent of damp soil. Through the open shoe screen, you catch a neighbor beyond the fence sweeping up fallen leaves, the rhythmic scrape of the broom matching the slow awakening of the morning. Inside, 79-year-old lowers herself onto a flat cushion beside a low lacquered table. Steam rises gently from her cup of barley tea, its warm, nutty aroma mingling with the sharp tang of pickled radish resting on a small ceramic plate. She isn't thinking about leg day or core strength or exercise at all. She's simply wondering whether the clouds will clear by afternoon so she can plant spinach, or whether she'll need to wait another day. And yet, beneath her awareness, her body is quietly at work. Her thighs engage, her hips open, her spine lengthens. Her toes grip the tatami mat ever so slightly for balance, all without a second thought. She's using muscles that many in the West only call upon during rare moments, like weddings, when you drop something on the table and make an awkward reach. We label it functional movement. Tessie just calls it morning tea. I remember trying it myself one cold January morning. My knees complained louder than the kettle. But after a few days, something shifted. The stiffness began to ease. Lowering myself down and standing back up no longer felt like a burden. It felt like rediscovering a rhythm my body had been missing for years. Starting your day on the floor doesn't just change your posture. It activates your balance before you even step outside. Your joints feel looser, as though someone quietly oiled the hinges overnight. Your breathing slows. The room itself seems to expand. And here's the beauty of it. It doesn't have to be dramatic. 2 minutes, one sit, one stand, then repeat tomorrow. It's not a workout. It's a quiet investment in the kind of strength that stays with you even when the world assumes it's gone. 2. The hidden decline we don't notice. So let me ask, when was the last time you actually sat on the floor? Not just crouched to pick something up, but truly stayed there for a while? If you can't remember, you're not alone. Across much of the West, the floor gradually becomes off-limits. Doctors quietly suggest it's safer to avoid it. Family members say, don't risk it. Chairs become permanent fixtures. But here's the quiet truth. The less time we spend near the ground, the more we forget how to get down there and how to rise back up. It doesn't happen suddenly. There's no dramatic collapse. Just a slow erosion of strength, balance, and confidence. So gradually you don't notice until one day crouching feels strange and unfamiliar. Take Alex, a retired mail carrier from Vermont. He walked miles every day for decades. Strong legs, plenty of stamina. But after years of never sitting on the floor, he bent down to tie his shoe one morning and realized his knees refused to help him back up. It shocked me, he admitted. I thought walking was enough. But this is a different kind of strength, isn't it? He was right. Walking builds the legs in a straight, predictable pattern. Floor work has something entirely different. Deep bends, weight shifts, hips, core, and balance all cooperating at once. Without it, you might keep your big muscles but lose the small stabilizers that guard against falls. I've joked before that chairs are like overprotective friends. At first, they're helpful, but eventually, they stop letting you do anything risky or fun. In Japan, people don't retire from these movements. They carry them into old age. It's built seamlessly into daily living. Sliding open a low cabinet, kneeling to arrange flowers, sitting cross-legged on a tatami mat to share a family meal. Each of these moments is tiny, but together, they add up to thousands of repetitions across a lifetime. They aren't workouts. They're quiet rehearsals for staying capable. And capability matters more than most people realize. Without it, everyday tasks start to slip away. You stop gardening because kneeling feels shaky. You give up cooking certain dishes because reaching that pot at the very bottom seems risky. Slowly, life shrinks, not because it must, but because your body has quietly decided the floor is no longer an option. The saddest part? Many don't realize this decline can actually be reversed. You can take it back, carefully, patiently, with small steps. But the hardest part is noticing it's gone in the first place. In the West, help often arrives too early. A grandchild rushes to pick up the spoon you dropped. A neighbor insists on carrying the heavy bag. We're thankful, of course. Yet every "let me do that for you" is also a missed chance for our legs to prove they still work. And slowly, they stop trying. So the real question is an asterisk. Is the floor safe for me? Asterisk, the real question is, how do I make the floor safe again? That shift from avoidance to adaptation is where true change begins. And it starts much earlier than most of us think. 3. The brain-body conversation you didn't realize you were having. The room is still, except for the soft tap of rain on the window. From the kitchen drifts the faint aroma of roasted sesame. Linda, 85, sits cross-legged on a floor cushion, slowly shelling edamame into a small wooden bowl. Every few minutes, she leans forward to reach the pile. Her spine curves, her balance shifts, her core tightens, all happening without a single conscious thought. She doesn't call this exercise. She calls it lunch prep. And here's the fascinating part. Every movement is a dialogue between her body and her brain. In 2016, researchers at Kyoto University published a study titled Physical Activity and Cognitive Function in Older Adults. They found that seniors who engaged in daily floor-level movements scored, on average, 12% higher on memory recall tests and 9% higher in mood stability than peers who avoided such activity. It's not magic, it's communication. I remember kneeling once to replace a stubborn light bulb. Somewhere in the middle of balancing with my arms stretched overhead, I noticed myself humming. I don't hum, but the quiet focus of that position left just enough room in my mind for a tune to slip through. When you rise from the floor, your inner ear recalibrates balance. Your eyes scan the room, searching for stability points. Your legs send constant updates to your brain. We're steady. Keep going. This is why elders who keep these habits often report feeling mentally sharper. Their nervous system is rehearsing every day. And there's something else science struggles to capture: the confidence that comes from knowing you can. I recall speaking with Mr. Bush, 89, who still knelt each evening to tend to a small shrine in his living room. "It tells me I'm still here," he said softly, "still able to bow." That ritual wasn't just spiritual. It was physical proof that his body hadn't given up on him. In much of the West, we separate mind and body as though they're two different rooms in the same house. But movement, especially grounded, deliberate movement, throws the door open between them. And when they share the same space, something powerful happens. You stop dwelling on what's been lost and start noticing what remains. You might even surprise yourself. One sit, one stand, and suddenly the mind feels clearer. The day feels larger, and the body, well, it remembers. If this part of our journey has stirred something in you, or reminded you of a strength you haven't touched in years, I'd love for you to stay in the conversation with me. A quiet tap on the like or subscribe button helps these stories reach others who might need them. And if you choose to press that little thanks button, know it's more than a gesture. It becomes a warm blanket or a hot meal for someone facing the night without a roof. Because strength isn't only about standing on our own. It's about helping someone else stand again. 4. A gentle path back to the floor. Let's begin softly. No stopwatch. No ambitious challenge. No demand to push through pain. Just you, a mat, a safe corner, and a quiet moment when the house isn't calling your name. Choose a spot that already feels comfortable. Maybe near the window, where late morning sun warms the floorboards. Maybe beside your favorite chair, so the transition feels easy. Spread a yoga mat or fold an old blanket until your knees feel cushioned. If hard flooring makes you wince, double up the padding. This isn't about toughness. It's about making peace with gravity again. Step 1. Sit on the floor for 2 minutes a day. Any position that feels natural, cross-legged, legs to the side, one straight and the other bent. At first, it might feel odd, like slipping on a coat you haven't worn in years. But that strangeness is your body remembering a familiar place it had forgotten. Why only 2 minutes? Because it's sure enough not to intimidate you, but long enough for your body to notice. In that span, your thighs begin to support you. Your hips gently loosen. Your spine lengthens without instruction. Your ankles flex in long-neglected ways. You're waking muscles without ordering them around. The first time I tried this, I felt ridiculous, like I was rehearsing for a picnic that never came. But by day 3, I noticed something. In that position, my breathing slowed on its own, almost as if my body had been waiting to the floor to grant permission to exhale. Step 2. Stand up once or twice, using whatever support you need. A wall, a sturdy chair, even both hands pressed to your knees. This is not cheating. This is rebuilding trust between your brain and your muscles. Each assisted rise is a handshake between them, a reminder that they still cooperate. In fact, a 2018 study from the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Gerontology, Functional Benefits of Floor-Based Movement in Older Adults, found that seniors who practice moving from floor to standing at least 10 times a day maintain 18% better balance and 14% stronger lower bodies compared to peers who avoided it. Walking alone did not provide these benefits. The secret was the multidirectional challenge of rising from the ground. As you grow more comfortable, weave real life into the practice. Sit on the floor while folding laundry, reaching and twisting naturally. Repot a plant, letting the smell of soil mix with a gentle stretch of your back. Write a note to a friend while seated low, your hand brushing against the cool grain wood beneath you. This is a Japanese way, movement with meaning. I once met James, 81, who still kneels every spring to sort his fishing lures. His tackle box rests on the tatami mat, faintly scented with salt water, clinging to the metal hooks. If I sit in a chair, I lose track, he grinned. Behind the joke was a deeper truth. The floor kept him connected to his hobby, his balance, his independence. Here's a gentle 4-week path. Week 1, 2 minutes seated daily, plus 1 or 2 assisted stands. Week 2, 3 minutes seated, 3 stands per session. Week 3, have 1 meal or a cup of tea on the floor each week. Notice the scent rising from the bowl, the way your body naturally aligns. Asterisk week 4. Choose your best time, morning sun warming your back, or evening quiet once the house settles. Make it personal. Add a ritual, a song, a candle, or a favorite cup of tea afterward. And if the floor still feels too distant, begin halfway. Use a low stool or firm ottoman. Practice slow squats while steadying yourself with the countertop. Let your knees bend only as far as they're willing. With time, that distance will close. It's like learning to write with your opposite hand. Awkward at first, strangely rewarding once you stop judging yourself. Here's the reward. As you practice, subtle shifts appear. Less hesitation when bending. More steadiness when rising from bed. Even a flicker of pride when you reach low without second-guessing. These aren't just small wins in movement. They're messages. Signals that your legs are listening again. Signals that your balance is alert. Signals that your body is quietly reclaiming ground you once thought was gone. And that's only the beginning. There's a deeper layer here, one that most people never notice. And it's not really about flexibility or even raw strength. 5. The deeper gift. Lily, age 87, lives in a modest apartment above a bakery in Kyoto. Each morning, she walks down a narrow hallway, passing the comforting, yeasty aroma of bread rising in the ovens below. She slides open the balcony door, where the air greets her, sometimes sharp with winter chill, sometimes sweet with the promise of spring, brushing across her cheeks. Then she lowers herself onto a folded blanket, her knees sinking into its softness, to tend to 3 pots of chrysanthemums. The flowers stay vivid even during the dullest months. Pink, like candy wrappers. Yellow, like morning sunlight. White, like newly fallen snow. Their petals quiver in the breeze as she tilts a small enamel watering can. It's not about the flowers, she explains, her voice warm but steady. It's about still being able to reach them. That's the deeper gift of moving on the floor. It's not just exercise for your legs. It's a statement. Every time Mako kneels, she's reminding herself in the world that she can still touch what matters. I remember visiting her just after a light snowfall. She had laid an old towel on the balcony so her knees wouldn't get wet. With a grin, she said, "Cold knees, warm heart," before rising with more grace than I thought possible. I had to remind myself she was nearly 90. In the West, we'd probably label these actions as staying active or maintaining mobility. But in Japan, they mean something else. They're about participation, preparing tea with friends, folding up a futon at night, kneeling to place incense at a small family altar. These aren't chores. They're rituals of belonging. And here lies the risk. When we stop moving this way, we don't just lose physical strength. We lose our place in the rhythm of everyday life. The quiet choreography that says, asterisk, I belong here. I'm part of this home. I'm part of this community. Science, of course, gives its reasoning. Movement boosts circulation, keeps neural pathways firing, sustains proprioception, that subtle awareness of where your body is in space. But the heart knows a different truth. Staying engaged keeps you feeling useful, and that feeling of usefulness sustains life in ways no medicine can. When I decided to try my own floor ritual, I started small. Each morning, I knelt to water a single potted fern. The first week, my legs ached. The second week, the soreness faded. By the third, something surprising happened. I lingered. I noticed new fronds unfurling. I breathed in the damp soil. I watched how the morning light slid slowly across the leaves. The practice had shifted. It wasn't just movement anymore. It had become an anchor in my day. That's what Mako was teaching me. The floor isn't just a surface in your house. It's a bridge that connects you to the tasks that give life its shape, a bridge between independence and the confidence to keep choosing for yourself. And if that bridge feels too far away right now, it doesn't mean it's gone. It only means the first plank is waiting to be laid. The real question is, how will you lay it? 6. Placing the first plank. So, how do you begin laying that first plank back toward the floor? You start not with what you've lost, but with what you already have. Yoshio, 85, began with nothing more than a folded quilt beside his bed. I wanted to see the garden again from a lower view, he told me. Each morning, he sat on that quilt for less than a minute. At first, it felt awkward. His knees were stiff, his breath short. But day by day, the stiffness eased. After a month, he could sit long enough to sip tea and watch sparrows hopping across the gravel path. That's the secret. Small, steady steps woven into daily life. Not exercise time. Lifetime. Here's one way to begin. Pick a safe space, maybe a carpeted living room floor or a padded kitchen mat. Leave it where you'll see it. So it's a reminder. Link the new habit to something you already do. Sit low while folding laundry. Kneel to check the bottom shelf in the pantry. Use support freely. A sturdy chair, the edge of a couch, even your hands pressing on your thighs. Support isn't weakness. It's insurance. In my own first week, I linked floor time to reading the morning news. My coffee cooled quicker than I expected, but I didn't mind. The headlines seemed to land differently when I read them closer to the ground. Then add something meaningful for you. For some, it's tending plants. For others, brushing a pet, sewing, or sorting photos. The task is the hook. The movement is the bonus. This is how many Japanese elders sustain the habit without ever framing it as exercise. And science agrees. A 2020 study in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity, Low Posture Daily Movements, and Fall Prevention in the Elderly found that older adults who regularly practice functional low-level movements had 23% fewer falls over 2 years, thanks to quicker muscle activation and stronger balance correction reflexes. But here's the most important part. As you practice, you start to trust your legs again. That trust is more valuable than any muscle measurement. When you no longer hesitate to kneel for a drop spoon or to stand up on the floor without fear of being stuck there, you reclaim more than mobility. You reclaim a part of yourself. I saw this happen with Carol 76. From Ohio, after 2 months of gentle floor practice, she surprised her family by joining her grandkids on the rug to build a Lego tower. I didn't plan it, she told me. I just sat down and realized I wasn't worried about getting back up. Moments like that are the true reward, not the number of repetitions you can count, but the freedom to live without hesitation. And when that shift happens, something changes in your perspective. The floor stops being a place you fall to and starts being a place you rise from. That's the turning point. The moment the habit no longer feels like a challenge, but instead feels like a right. So, here's the bigger picture. This quiet Japanese practice isn't about clinging to youth or fighting time. It's about meeting your own strength where it still lives and giving it space to grow. Every sit, every stand, every small bend toward the ground is proof. You're not fading. You're still evolving. And if you followed me this far, I want you to know I'm cheering for you, even if we've never met. You don't need to move to Japan. You don't need a tatami mat or a flawless routine. All you need is the willingness to return, little by little, to the movements that belong to you. When you do, the floor stops being a barrier and becomes a foundation. And if this story sparks something in you, I'd be grateful if you tap like or subscribe. It helps keep these conversations alive for others who may need them. And if you feel moved to press the thanks button, know this. Every bit goes toward warm meals and safe blankets for someone without a roof tonight. Because, in the end, keeping our strength isn't just for us.